Bishop, and I'm just gonna jump right into it. Let's talk about this Jussie Smollett case. Well, I ain't gonna talk about the case per se, but as y'all know, he's been found guilty of all charges. That's right, guilty of all charges. And no, I am not ecstatic about it. I'm a little indifferent about it, but I'm not here to talk about his charges or him being found guilty. I'm here to talk about an article that was written about this whole situation when it first broke news sometime last year, if I'm not mistaken. And the chatter around this whole Jussie Smollett thing, because people on all kind of sides started giving their own agendas through this falsely or invisible attack that happened by these alleged maggots, right? Which we all know now that it was two Nigerian brothers who were paid to attack Mr. Smollett, right? So now, what I want to hit it from a different angle, because when this thing first broke, we had a lot of different opinions, had a lot of different takes from all angles. You know how this goes, especially when it's dealing with racism and homophobia, right? Everybody got an opinion, everybody got a soapbox. And there was one article that came out that really piqued my interest, and I want to revisit that for a bit, because I think the brother who wrote that article, I think you owe a certain demographic an apology. We won't get it, but let's talk about it. So back in January 31st, 2019, which, damn, it's been that long since this incident happened. But yeah, back in 2019, a journalist, I guess he's a journalist, just whatever, I don't know what he is, but his name is Richy Rosario, and he wrote an article, an opinion piece for Vibemagazine online, and the title broke the internet. It broke the internet, y'all. And the title read, "Straight Black Men's Silence on Jussie Smollett's Homophobic and Racist Attack is Dangerous." Let me read that to y'all again. Straight black men's silence on Jussie Smollett's homophobic and racist attack is dangerous. You should have a healthy fear of us, because too much of us is dangerous. So dangerous, so dangerous. Straight black men are dangerous. That's what, okay, so let's break this down. And this was before, of course, this is 2019, so this is before we even found out that your boy was lying about the whole incident. But what I found interesting was the response to this article, because a lot of people at that time supported, and they probably, I say at that time, but still to this day, they probably support a lot of things that were said in this article. And I want to go through this, because you know, he says that straight black men, silence is dangerous. I'm a straight black man. My silence causes more harm than good. Even though in retrospect, maybe black men, maybe some straight black men were more critical thinkers. Maybe they wasn't quick to jump to conclusions, jump on a soapbox, because come to find out, this motherfucker was lying. He was lying, and he played y'all. The gay Tupac played y'all, and in return, y'all came at us. Straight black men were minding their own business, and here we are catching stray bullets. We just catching them strays, man. Now, I want to say this. I'm not against anybody's sexuality or how they choose to identify themselves. Hey, whatever makes you happy, happy. Trust me. I know y'all probably think otherwise, because I got a dick, I got a penis. I get it. And I'm a black man and I'm straight. And I don't make any apologies for that. So I know y'all can't see past that. But come on, y'all. Come on, we gotta call it for what this is. Now, this article right here, in my opinion, is actually the dangerous one. That's the danger. You know, let me, and I'm gonna tell you why. And I want to be fair and objective as much as I can. So let's go in some of the things that this brother said in this article. He had one take, right, where he says, the actor has received a slew of support from members of the LGBTQ plus community in and out of Hollywood, as well as black women alike. But aside from a few Hollywood peers and allies, those same straight black men who are targeted by white supremacists have been largely silent. Their probable homophobic attitudes or silence towards their black gay brothers can be just as lethal as the same white men that kill them and incarcerate them at more disproportionate rates than any other minority in America. Their probable homophobic attitudes of silence towards their black gay brothers can be just as lethal. Just as lethal. Just as lethal. This was in reference to this fake case where gay Tupac was attacked. He said he called himself gay Tupac, so I'm not throwing any slurs or nothing. He called himself that. Let me flip this around for you. This article that is attacking black men and framing straight black men as dangerous is just as lethal as the same white men who post the same rhetoric about black men in America being dangerous and lethal. That's the same rhetoric. I understand you don't think it. You don't think so because you are on the right side of history. The right side of history. Even though 2021 he was found guilty on all charges. But this is where we come to, where now straight black men are being thrown under the bus in a case that had nothing to do with straight black men. And this is common when you look at several different topics that's dealing with if it's black women or LGBTQ plus community, black folk. For some reason, even when it's not involving straight black men, straight black men are gonna catch a stray. And for this to be coming from a journalist, and the fact that Vibemagazine co-signed this, isn't that not dangerous? I mean, it's not like Vibemagazine hasn't done careless things before, like maybe post something about an East Coast versus West Coast beef back in the 90s, or exploit brothers in other ways. Shout out to Quincy Jones and them. I'm not, straight ripping, straight just trashing Vibemagazine, but I'm just saying, when do we start to look at things more objectively instead of just doing the same thing white men are doing? Because since straight black men are the white men, we're the white men of the black community. Wouldn't this propaganda piece, this slander piece, be along the same lines? Especially now that we know that Jussie Smollett was not telling the truth. I digress. Let's read another excerpt. I think it's excerpt. Let's read another excerpt from this. Now, and I'm gonna say this. There's some legitimacy about straight men, including straight black men, in their attitudes towards homosexuality. I'm not gonna sit there and deny that doesn't exist. I'm not gonna sit there and say that is probably stifled some type of unity and probably has harbored some justified resentment towards straight black men on some level. Some. I mean, I'm just gonna say I can recall when I was a child, and because I wasn't as tough as other little boys my age at the time, I'm talking elementary, that I had some slander thrown at me. And a lot of these brothers, at that time, some of these brothers didn't even have a male figure in the household. Right? But they were picking up, I guess you could say, toxic behavior in their views of what it means to be masculine, tough. That is an issue, not just with black community. I want y'all to stop acting like white people are holier than thou. And I'm not saying all white people, but come on. Black people, the black community gets called out all the time. But we don't call out the white community. You mean to tell me that the white community, they might be racist, might be even a little sexist, but they draw the line at homophobia. They draw the line at homosexuality. That's when you see the white community at its peak of humanity and understanding of genders and sexual identity. Yeah, come on now. That ain't the case. Trust me, I know. I used to hang with them back in middle school. I learned certain words from them. Nah, but that's neither here nor there. But this piece by Mr. Rosario, who, by the way, let's just get into it. I'm not attacking the brother, but this is what it is. He is a Dominican journalist. Now, whether he's a black Dominican, Afro-Dominican, and shout out to my Dominican community, I am not suggesting that Dominican people are not black, right? Which is a social construct anyway. Black is a social construct. We understand that a large percentage of Dominican people have just as much African ancestry in their DNA as African Americans, right? We understand that. However, this brother right here did make he made a distinction between Dominican and black. He made that distinction in this article because I'm going to read it right here. To this day, as a 27-year-old Dominican gay man, he didn't say as a 27-year-old black man. He didn't say as a 27-year-old black Dominican gay man. He said a 27-year-old Dominican gay man. I say a prayer when going inside a barbershop because I don't feel safe. Most black and brown men find the shop as a sacred place of camaraderie with their bros, or with their boys, that's what he said. For me, it's torture. Nah, he's a F. Bad, you know. That was horrible. He lives up the block. I heard a Dominican barber say to a black client, they both laughed in unison at a gay man who just left the shop in my neighborhood in the Bronx. I just sat there hoping I wasn't their next target. So, listen to what he said again. I heard a Dominican barber say to a black client. I heard a Dominican barber say to a black client. So, right there, twice, he said he was a Dominican. He said he was a Dominican gay man. He was 27 years old at the time. He's a Dominican gay man. He didn't say he was black. He said he was Dominican. Then he said, then he differentiates between the Dominican barber and the black client who were in unison with each other, which creates the narrative that black and brown communities together hate homosexuals or homophobic. Yet, he didn't make the article largely about Dominican people. And why is that? Why is someone who doesn't see themselves as black talking about black men? Why is he talking about straight black men? I just find it weird. Because had this been a gay white man, even probably some people in the LGBTQ plus community and black women who support them and straight black men who support them would probably have an issue. They would probably have a problem with that gay white man saying it. So why is it okay for this Dominican man who doesn't see himself the same as black people, right? In his words, why is he allowed to call out black people and generalize straight black men negatively? Great says it right here. He's Dominican. It was a Dominican barber. A black client came in. They laughed in unison. Why is this okay? Why is it okay to generalize straight black men? Again, what have we done? Not saying that it ain't some things that need to be worked out. Not saying that straight black men don't harbor some kind of attitudes, nasty attitudes towards homosexuality. But this was a clear agenda. Again, this was a case that had nothing to do with straight black men, unless you're talking about the two Nigerian brothers who he hired to beat him up. I'm just saying. This ain't had nothing to do with us. I digress. Let's see. Let's read. Let's see what else. And here's my take. Here's my other take on this whole situation. I think when you see brothers like him, and I'm still acknowledging that this is a brother, right? Brothers like him and other groups of people who find every avenue to throw black men, straight black men, under the bus. I think what you are dealing with is people who are projecting based off their own small personal experiences. Again, I'm not going to diminish, but when I say small, I mean it's just your personal experiences. It's not everybody's personal experiences. And I'll give you an example, even though I know it's going to fall deaf on some people's ears. But what if I wrote an article that said black women's silence against a black man who was falsely accused of raping a white woman is dangerous? So what if I published an article where I said black women's silence against black men falsely accused of raping a white woman is dangerous? What if I made that article and then inserted my own personal experiences of black women in my past who didn't exhibit the most favorable attitudes towards me and other black men? Because that would be justifiable, right? Because of what I went through in my life, based the few experiences that I had, or the few black women that I encountered, compared to the vast majority of black women in this country, gives me a right to insert my own personal experiences and project an entire group of women. For what? For what? For some reason, conversations need to happen. But is this the best way to go about it? You know, a lot of people complain about when black men, when a straight black individual who happens to be a man, who goes after quote-unquote marginalized groups. All the stuff that we go through, and not saying that y'all don't go through stuff too, we are black. But all the stuff that we go through, you think this is the best way to go about that? Also in the article he talks about Tariq Nasheed, which I'm not a fan of Tariq Nasheed myself. He made a point about Tariq Nasheed, which basically was showing how opportunistic he is to spin this around and use it for his own personal agenda, which was right and exact. Which, yeah, his assessment was right about Tariq. Yet, how is this article not the same thing? This was not about, he didn't mention anything about the white men. Which we know now didn't exist. But he mentioned nothing about the white men who attacked Jussie Smollett. This became a tug of war, right? At the very beginning. Oh, he attacked him because he was gay. He attacked him because he was black. Motherfucker wasn't attacked at all, right? But you don't think that this article right here, again, wasn't filled with agendas? You don't think that was Tariq like? very irresponsible of Vibe to print this, especially with those headlines, because you already know what the reaction is going to be. No different than New York Times or any other publication out there that generalizes black men that you know y'all would have a problem with. Oh, but because y'all happen to be black too, then you know what's best. Nah, you don't. If you see this, if you see as many black men react negatively to this article, then your communication, the way you go about it, the execution is wrong. Even if you have some points that make sense. And I'm not saying, again, some of the things that he says in this article needs to be said. And I'm not saying it's a way to say it. What I'm saying is, when you see that many people flustered, when you see that many people angry or turned off by the article, and again, we black men are marginalized people, despite y'all claiming we are white people, we are the white people of the community, which that's another topic for another day. But we are marginalized. And again, you did the same thing that all these other white publications do. You demonize black men, you generalize black men, and you dehumanize black men for your own personal gain. You chose to throw us under the bus at a time when you didn't need to. And I'm pretty sure that this brother, Rosario, didn't have a follow-up piece. Maybe he did, I don't know. I wasn't paying attention after that. But he didn't have a follow-up piece calling out Jussie Smollett. What was that? And let me say this, because again, I don't have anything against anybody if they choose to, well, if you choose to identify as whatever, I ain't got a problem with that. But a lot of people are so busy wanting to be on the right side of history and wanting to be on their soapbox because of their own personal experiences, because they caught up in the moment in time, that they're not willing to look past certain things. Like, they're not even trying to look past certain things about individuals, not groups of people, but individuals. Individually, just because you're LGBTQ plus community, don't mean you can't be a piece of shit. And a lot of people were coming at some brothers. One, because we were straight black men, and two, because of their own perceived notions about straight black men as some kind of monolith, monolith group who thinks on one accord in unison, as he put it. When some brothers in the very beginning were questioning if this actually happened. I mean, I've seen some brothers getting called homophobic. So this is the problem with you cisgenders. Y'all are so consumed in your own personal traumas and your own battles that you can't even look at things objectively. You can't even look at a person on an individual level and say, maybe he's not being homophobic, maybe he just is questioning, maybe he just has some legitimacy to his beliefs, just based on what he's hearing. Because yeah, when you first heard the incident, it didn't make sense. And now that he's been proven guilty, where's the apology? That's all I'm saying. I know y'all don't give it. Stubborn people. I'm just saying. So, and also I want to say this, and how I know that this slander campaign has a lot to do with people's own personal problems, personal issues growing up. But they're, not saying that they don't have every right to feel some kind of way, but they're projecting a lot of things on straight black men because of their own personal experiences. How I know that this article, this author, or this journalist was dealing with that was because of one comment he made in the article where he said, "I've never felt supported by straight men to safely be my full self in front of them, with the exception of a few who were part of my personal or professional life." End quote. And maybe that's a problem I need some soul searching on. Again, what you dealt with, especially growing up, nobody should have to deal with that. I agree. No matter how you choose to identify. But damn, man, come on now. If you want to talk, let's talk. Let's have a conversation. But don't throw us under the bus. We got enough stuff going on in our community. And I'm not telling brothers, straight black men, don't throw them under the bus. Don't throw black women under the bus. Let's deal with people on an individual basis. And individually, on an individual basis, this cat right here who wrote this is foul. You the danger. You the danger. And I don't even know if you was intentionally trying to do that. Again, I'm saying because you need to do soul searching, you were so consumed in your own personal experiences that you didn't realize how dangerous this piece was. And now that we know the truth about Mr. Smollett, well, told you so. So with that said, shout out to my sponsor, Subway, $5 foot long on y'all ash. No, I'm just joking.